just waiting to see if anybody comes in.
Yeah.
You gonna look it up on your...
Yeah, I should probably open it up. Let me silence my phone too. Cool. Here we go.
Mm-hmm.
Let me try it. Alright.
This is harder than... This is one of the things I never expected to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that I hope I never have to talk about again.
I was talking to Carlos the other day, and we were basically talking about how, like, Alan Alvarez was another member of the community.
I remember the name. That was
Who,
before my time, but I remember.
He passed some time ago, and, you know, really was a wake-up call for a lot of people. And it's very disheartening how something like that can really happen in a moment's notice. And
Yes.
you don't really see it coming. And, yeah, we were on the phone for some time yesterday, and, you know, I was trying to give him solace. I was consoling him. He was consoling me. And I think it's just... I think the scariest part of it is knowing that he was right here in this very location 3 weeks ago. And we were just chatting, we were laughing, you know, we were smelling different fragrances. I remember he brought over Libertine fragrances, and he was like, "Oh, Stephen, I think you're gonna like this. Gary, I think you're gonna like that." And it was just... I don't even... like, it was so... It's so real. It's so real what's happening right now.
For me, it's beyond real. I couldn't even... It was beautiful to see all the reviewers and everybody post yesterday. And
Yeah.
I honestly, I couldn't bring myself to even get in front of a camera. I was on no sleep. Literally crying, cried my eyes out all day. And I just want to say, you know, Chris was a very close friend of mine, and when I say that, I don't want to say it and sound selfish, because from everything I've seen and what I know about Chris, he wasn't just a personal friend of mine.
Yeah.
He was a close personal friend to a majority of the fragrance community, and he had personal relationships with so many people, and he touched so many people's lives on just a one-on-one basis. And it goes further than fragrance and further than YouTube.
Yeah.
You know, my friendship with him, we didn't always talk about fragrances. Just to let everybody know, I've been sober for almost 10 years now. I've struggled with drugs and alcohol in the past, and me and Chris have actually, we've talked about recovery before. You know,
Yeah.
we've all had past, and we acted as a support group.
Yeah. It's tough, man. You're good. Listen, man. Even right before he came to my event, you know, he and I were going back and forth on Facebook, and he was just so overwhelmed. He was so happy that he was even invited. And I was like, dude, you're on the East Coast. You know, you're a friend of ours. Of course I'm going to invite you. And he left a comment in the event on Facebook saying, I feel like I was just invited to sit at the big kids table, right? You remember that comment?
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know, I always saw him as a member of the family, as somebody who would comment on every single video. He was always super supportive.
Oh my God. He would comment on everybody's video. Whether you had 100 subscribers or you had 60,000 subscribers, 70,000, he'd comment on all your videos. He was there. for somebody who's been in the fragrance community, and he's been in the fragrance community for some time, for somebody who's been a reviewer,
Yeah.
for as short of a time as he has, and I have myself, me and Chris actually started within, I think, 3 or
Kind of
4
at the
weeks
same
of each
time.
other.
Yeah.
He was a pillar in the community. He stayed in, just stayed in his own lane. Just super positive, and the less than a year that I've known him, we every time we've talked, we always talked about how to better each other, how to better each other's channels, and how to better each other. Talking about recovery and stuff like that, just how to better ourselves with with certain issues that we might be struggling with, and
that was his. It was his style. It was his style to be friendly. It was his style to be supportive.
It was his superpower.
Yeah, in many ways. If you needed something, you needed somebody to talk to, you knew that Chris was always going to be there. And even on a personal level, he came over. I remember I was setting up my camera to shoot some videos outside. And he was looking at the adapter that I was using, and he goes, "Oh, how come you're using that adapter? That, the lavalier mic isn't going to give you as clear of a sound as if you use this adapter." He goes, "Oh, use my stuff."
Yeah.
And then he started talking to me about like the rule of thirds and all these other things that he was doing on his channel that really worked for him. And I'm like, oh my God, like he's giving me some fantastic advice that would have otherwise went in over my head. But he was so knowledgeable and he was so passionate about everything.
He always put people before himself. The most selfless person I've ever met.
Yeah.
To a fault.
And I see like all these videos of people online and how, not videos, pictures rather, of like him giving them free bottles and like, hey, I think this would work well for you, or I think you would like this fragrance. And I feel like we lost somebody really, really special, and somebody who had made in such a short period of time such a significant yet positive impact.
Sky was the limit. It's somebody I'll never forget. This hit home. Being in recovery for as long as I have.
Yeah.
I've seen people with. I've seen really low bottoms, and I've lost some really close friends, but pull myself together yesterday. It was really hard to pull myself together. I was actually going to go live last night, and at that point I was already up for like 30 hours from when we started trying to find out what was going on, and once everything was confirmed on
I think that was another thing too, is that, the conversation that I had with you last night and Carlos and other people who messaged me, is that to a certain level, I want to say, we were kind of like beating ourselves up, like, hey, we should have messaged him, we should have done this, we should have done that. But I think the longer that we speculate over what we could have done, the longer we beat ourselves up over something that one might argue was inevitably like beyond our control.
And honestly, and there is, you can't beat yourself up. When Chris said, last week he just wasn't feeling well. He didn't reiterate to me exactly what was going on, and when somebody says to you, I'm not feeling well, you just chalk it up to, okay, they're not feeling well, and you're not thinking of someone's past, or you got it in your head that they're good. Yeah. This person's good, and
I think a lot of times too. And by the way, I do see all the people in the group. So, Joe, Raze, Joshua, Robert, Freddie. Thank you for tuning in. Obviously, it's a tough time for all of us, but I think a lot of times, we all have our own personal demons, and we have things in our life that get to us, and we try to tackle them on a personal level, and we feel as though we are an imposition on somebody, and we don't want to reach out for help. But, it should be known that, if there is something that's bugging you, if there's something that's bothering you, like, please don't hesitate to reach out to somebody. Send them an email, send them a message, give them a call. Like, people are there for you. Your friends have your best interest in mind.
There's help on so many different levels, whether you need to talk to a friend, recovery support groups.
Yeah.
There's so many avenues that you could turn to instead of doing something that is unnecessary.
Yeah.
The only thing I would like to reiterate today is there's help. We all have issues and we all have personal demons.
And nobody's perfect.
No one. And take advantage of all of those avenues. That's what they're for. And that's what I learned in sobriety. And I make it a habit to talk to another person in recovery all the time.
Yeah.
And the part that's really hurting me is that's one person that was in recovery that I don't get to talk to anymore. And that's I'm struggling with that right now, and it hurts. And I miss him. I miss him.
Yeah. I think what hurts the most and what makes us miss him the most is knowing that we were able to pick up our phones and send him a message at a moment's notice, knowing that he'd be there and he'd respond. And now
he'd get back to you almost instantly.
Yeah. There's this feature on YouTube where you click, I think it's the community tab, and then you can search for a comment by commenter. And when you put his name in, Mr. Sillage, you can see all of these comments that pop up, and it's like damn,
it's like
this guy was active.
Like opening a scroll.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, how far will
like
this scroll
the
roll?
the tissue paper just rolling.
But that's,
It just goes to show the kind of person he was. He was a friend. He wasn't a friend to some, he was a friend to all.
Yeah.
Just stayed out of all the BS that's out
the
there.
Drama and the trouble,
any of the drama that's in these. I don't even want to say the fragrance group because there's drama in
everywhere,
in
all
groups.
communities, everything.
It really is. But all that stuff now, when you're dealing with something that we're all dealing with, kind of puts it all into a perspective, and those things.
Yeah.
Some trivial stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely an eye opener, and it makes us reevaluate what's important in life and what we should be doing, and the people to whom we should be dedicating our attention, as opposed to, maybe this one little trivial, insignificant thing in our day didn't go our way, and we choose to fixate on it for hours. Meanwhile, that time that we're spending fixating on something that doesn't even really matter, we could be talking to a friend, we could be fostering positive relationships. And I think that we can beat ourselves up over and over interminably, and that's not going to bring our friend back. And I think the best we can do now is really appreciate the positivity that he did infuse in our lives
and celebrate him.
Yeah.
Chris would want us. When I came over today, I was like, I have no desire to shoot videos. At this moment, I have no desire to do anything.
Yeah, same here. Yesterday
fragrance
too.
related.
I was supposed to meet up with Carlos yesterday, and he called me in the morning crying, and he goes, "We're not doing anything today, right?" Yeah. And I was like, "No, we're not."
Mm-hmm. I do want to thank everybody who reached out to me, to ask me if I was all right, and thank you, and thank Jen.
Yeah, of course.
I learned a lot from Chris, and I stand by it when I say that he has made me a better version. He's helped make me a better version of myself. Super positive and
Yeah. It's tough. It's tough for all of us. Just to reiterate a point that you made earlier, Gary. I never went live on my YouTube channel before.
This is my first time going live.
Yeah. So I don't know if you could edit like the description of the video afterwards or whatever, but if you could, please put my personal email address in there.
Okay.
And I want people to know that if you ever do have something that's bothering you, ever, want to reach out to somebody and talk to them, I'm a human just like the rest of you.
Absolutely.
And, you know, I put on my pants one leg at a time, just like everybody else. We all have our flaws and our imperfections, and sometimes we just want to reach out to somebody and talk to them and say, hey, this is on my mind, can you give me some advice? Oftentimes we get messages that are like, oh, what do you prefer, La Nuit or Carolina Herrera? And it's like, okay, the fragrance-related questions are cool, but like if you have something that's, bugging you on a personal level, and you really need somebody to talk to about it, please don't keep it to yourself. I think the longer you let it well up inside you, the more damage that it causes on an emotional, psychological, and internal level.
I've made some great friends and in this community. You, Freddie, Carlos. I don't even look at you guys as friends anymore. You guys are like brothers.
Likewise,
it's
the feeling is mutual.
And it's not. The majority of stuff we talk about is fragrance stuff because we all share that one thing in common. But it's nice when we can separate fragrance and we all talk on personal levels, and I'm so grateful to have that with each and every one of you. And for anybody whose name I left out, I'm sorry. There's too many of you to mention, and everybody reaching out, it's great, and
it's amazing.
I appreciate it, and I appreciate what everybody has done for Chris, all the reviewers that have posted and expressed your heartfelt thoughts. Thank you. I miss my brother.
I know, man. Mark's in the room now too. Hey Mark, hey Freddie, hey everybody here. Mark messaged me that night too, and he was like, hey man, do you have any information on what's going on? And I have people who aren't even in the area, and they're like, listen, when you receive words on like what the funeral arrangement is, like I wanna come out to it. And there are people that are willing to travel like long distances to be there for Chris.
I'm sure.
Because he touched them on such a personal level, and I think that that's incredible. I really think it's awesome. It's really upsetting. Like you said in the beginning of the video, I never thought that I would have to make a video addressing such a situation.
Yeah.
That it would ever come to this point. He was one of the good ones, man.
Yes.
He was definitely one of the good ones.
Everybody there's always somebody to talk to. I can't reiterate that enough. There's always somebody there. I can't. I have nothing left.
Yeah. Alright, just put the emails in the description if you can. Alright guys, so please, reach out to us. If there's something on your mind, please let us know. Let's try to honor Chris's memory. He was a fantastic guy. We have this beautiful thing called YouTube here that archives videos, and even though the video might be a year or 2 years old, you can still tune in and relive the experience.
I was watching a ton of his videos last
Me
night.
too. Me too, yeah.
Alright. Thanks everybody. We'll see you soon.
Alright, bye guys.